In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.
Welcome to Inside Style. I am your host, George Worrell, and thank you for tuning in today. I have the pleasure of welcoming my good friend, Miss Tiffany Santana, the Executive Director at Bethany House in Northern Virginia. Tiffany, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
And not only is it sunny out, but you brought the sunshine in with that fabulous yellow jacket.
Thank
I
you.
love it. I
Thank
love
you.
it. So we're going to jump right in. You are the executive director of Bethany House, and tell us how you got there. I know you are a graduate of Old Dominion University. What was your kind of road to get there? I know you're an advocate of education. Give us a little background about that.
So my road was unconventional to get to Bethany House. I have no background in human services. I have no background in counseling like most people do in this sector of nonprofit. I was an educator for 10 years in Norfolk Public School System and Fairfax County Public Schools. And I resigned from teaching in 2013. I felt like my season for that was over. And I started a business in 2013 along with my husband. It was a fitness business.
Yes.
And during that time, our business model was to incorporate a tithe of time each week to go out into the community and serve. And Bethany House was one of the few places that responded back to me when I wanted to volunteer. And I started volunteering once a week, and then it became more frequently doing a little bit of everything. And so I volunteered for 7.5 years before this opportunity of leadership opened itself up.
How did you find teaching? And what grade?
I taught middle school first for 3 years. That was interesting. And then transitioned to high school and community college. I loved education. I loved teaching. I love anything that has to do with transformation. The system was difficult because I'm visionary and because I'm an action taker. And sometimes the education system doesn't allow for teachers who are creatives and who are visionaries.
So they were like confined that you had to work within.
Yes.
And you found that challenging?
Absolutely. It became difficult because I knew what was best for the kids as far as learning and growing and developing, but that didn't always match with the system. And so I had to do one thing in the classroom and then fix it to make it look good on paper for administration and the powers that be. And it was just exhausting. But I developed fantastic relationships. I am still friends with some of those students. They are married and grown and doing things now, but they'll always check in with me.
So how was the leadership, like the principals and stuff, were they able to work with you to do those kinds of things? Because
some were very open to ideas, and some of them were very visionary also. Some were not. Some were very system, and that was challenging for me. Yeah.
So you went that road, volunteered for 7 years, and then how did it happen that you were taking over the helm of Bethany House?
So at the end of 2020, so we're deep in the pandemic. The executive director had to leave relatively suddenly, and they needed someone to step in. I was available at the time because I'd closed up the fitness business. So I was at home during COVID, kind of enjoying the quiet and the slowdown. I didn't enjoy that people were sick, but
I know. I get what you're saying. Like, it was a time that you could reflect.
Be still, and that was so rare. And so the board president gave me a call and said, I just need you to help. Can you step in and be an interim for 6 months? And I was like, great. I love this organization. I had been fortunate enough as a volunteer to work in almost every aspect of the organization, so I knew it well. And I started, and in 3 months, I was asked to come on permanently of my 6-month interim stay.
So that speaks to your skill set. And, as we celebrate National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, that role that you play, that you see, give us a little bit about what Bethany House does.
So Bethany House empowers women and children escaping domestic violence by providing safe, short-term housing and trauma-informed services. We are very different from most domestic violence shelters because we have a program. It's a full program. We call it a domestic violence intervention program. So where most shelters are 30 to 45-day stays, which is great. It gets women out of harm's way quickly and puts them into a safe place. It doesn't allow for time to rebuild your life once you've left, because many women just leave. They leave everything behind and have to start all over. So what we do at Bethany House is we provide 4 to 6 months of stay. And during that time, we provide counseling. We provide what we call life advancement programming. So education, job training, legal assistance, medical assistance, child care, self-care, anything that a woman needs to really start rebuilding herself from the inside out and building a new life for herself. Once a woman transitions into permanent housing after she stayed with us, and we make sure that we secure permanent housing for them, she can opt into a 2-year aftercare program where she can continue to get counseling, continue the life advancement programming, visit our pantry, get rent assistance or financial assistance as she needs it. We just want to make sure that all the barriers are taken down for her to keep moving forward and not go back.
What is the mechanism that in many cases take women a longer period of time to leave a situation like that?
That's such a great question, because many people just ask that question. Why did she just leave?
Yeah.
If someone's mistreating you, why don't you just leave? What we know is it takes women on average 7 times before she gets out finally. And there are many factors. Some women have children, and although the home is disruptive and chaotic, they feel like they don't want to split the child from their parent, their father. Sometimes it's financial. You know, sometimes the abuser absolutely controls all the finances. So where will you go? How will you set up? Sometimes it's just fear. Where will I go? And you could go to family, but they know where your family is. Far too often we've seen examples where people have come to the homes of family members. And
I can't have you. And,
right. So lots of factors.
So do we, in the fear factor as well, do many women feel like that it's their fault too?
In many ways.
The mental aspect of, what's the mental aspect that you see when women are coming in, let alone, and that's next, about the kids, because that affects, it's almost, to me, and you would know more about this, that it could be generational. So if I see my father beating my mother and I don't know any, and I grow up in that environment, is it less than likely or likely that that person is going to be an abuser as well?
This and I call this a pandemic, it's very generational. What you see is what you know and what you do. And so very often children who grow up seeing violence either become violent or they accept violence. They're just generational patterns. And that's one of the reasons why we take a longer term approach too, because we are really adamant about breaking those cycles of abuse. If we can get to women and their children and change their behavior patterns, change their thought processes, you can really shift the trajectory of a generation and all the generations that follow. So it really is important. It is generational. It is very psychological, and it spans, domestic violence spans every demographic. Someone asked me just the other day, who do you see more? Do you see more Black women? Do you see younger women? We see everybody. Every socioeconomic status. We've had professors, we've had wives of politicians, we've had all kinds of women who come through our doors.
And how would you know about this? I mean, do you advertise? Like, how would I know? How would a woman know that, I got to get out of this? Where am I going to go? All of this. How am I going to get away? Because most times the person is watching them 24/7 with the cameras, and where are you going, and all that kind of stuff. What is the mechanism of getting that word out? We
do it in a variety of ways. We have a website. We're on Google, just like anyone else. We are networked with the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So when someone calls, even from out of state, because we're fortunate enough to be privately funded, so we're non-jurisdictional. Women from anywhere can come to us.
Okay.
They don't have to be residents of Fairfax County.
Okay.
So people will call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They'll get referred to us. We work with churches. We work in schools. We go to corporate. We go to government organizations. And we just do things like this, where we speak to people and we let them know that we're here. And very often, people will come to us because someone said, I heard about this place at my church called Bethany House, or I heard about this place on my job. We were in a Zoom, and I know that this place exists. So they hear about us from a variety of different ways. We try to be ubiquitous. We want to be as known as possible while still maintaining some confidentiality because of what we do.
And where you are.
Absolutely.
So,
so we have to draw this balance.
Yeah. And for me, I've had the fortune, I've been fortunate to, and like with you, to work with women who have come out of trying situations, whether if it's drugs, alcohol, abuse, and those kinds of things. And I was really happy that when I first started my company, that I approached fashion in a holistic way, meaning I knew as a person who was recovering from alcohol that you could dress up the outside, but the inside, if it wasn't first, that it wouldn't matter of that fabulous dress or outfit that you had on. So I'm always aware of the women and men that are rebuilding their lives, that inside. How do you guys approach that? Somebody's been telling you for 20 years that you're fat, you're ugly, nobody's ever going to want you. How do you start with that? Is that the therapy piece that comes in to help rebuild that person up, that confidence up?
Yes, absolutely. Our platform, what we do is empowerment, and we made sure that was a key word in our mission. So when we meet as a team, we discuss what we're doing, and empowerment is the key action word. If it doesn't empower, we don't do it. And so there is counseling. Like I said, we have groups, we have social mentorship, we do transformational coaching. We have Bible study. We're Christian-based, so we have Bible study that women can participate in, but we are very focused also on making sure that women are whole from the inside out so that this will stick. It's so important.
Do you have a percentage of people who go back into that situation?
Because of the nature of our program, we have a very low percentage of people who go back. We're in the 95 percentile.
Oh, that's great.
95 and above usually of women who don't return back to abusive relationships.
So do you contribute that because it's more long-term?
Yes.
As just, like 5 days, 15 days as a rest period?
Yes.
And then, so what are you contributing to that longevity of people not going back?
I think because our program is more holistic, because we're not just a shelter, we don't just give you a place to stay. We really focus on helping people to rebuild a new life free from abuse. And just like with a lot of populations that struggle, if you have hope, if you see a path forward, if you see a possibility for you living a different kind of life, then you will. If you have opportunities, if you're provided with education, if you're provided with a new career path, if you're supported, if you have someone in your corner all the time, you will be more likely to move forward and progress. And so we're adamant about being holistic in our approach. We really want to make sure that women feel like they are fully on their feet by the time they transition out of us. And they go on to do great things. I just got a call recently from one of our former clients who had done mission work in Mongolia. And so they, not only just do things like that, they work for other domestic violence organizations. We just hired one of our former clients. And some women are just content to go forward and be a great mom or a great single woman starting her life over, doing what she wants to do. And so that holistic approach is just so important.
How do you do this? Because I'm thinking if I saw this and, I think anything that anybody does, I would hope, I know for me, is a calling. That you've found something, I always say, that you would do for free. And most likely those things that you would do for free, like in your volunteerism, is something that you would do and get paid for it. That's the blessing. But how do you separate and, lack of a better word, turn it off or just leave and nurture yourself? What do you do?
That's such a good question. I think teaching prepared me for that because I am a nurturer. And in teaching, I had to come home and compartmentalize. I had to give myself to my family. I give everything I could to the kids while I was in the building, but I did have to shut it off. I have a friend who's a counselor. She said, zip it up, zip yourself up. And then compartmentalize and give myself to my family. There are times where it gets blurry. I almost wanted to adopt a student before, but the same is true with this. You have to make sure that when you're in your work environment that you're giving your all there, but you have to give your all to your family and your personal life too.
And you.
And me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm a massage girl. Okay. I'm going to make sure it's scheduled.
Okay.
In. Like, I'm going to do that. But the beauty of it is, because people ask us this all the time, because it is a heavy thing that we do. Mm-hmm. The beauty of what we do is we're on the back end. We're on the side where she's come out. We're on the victory side. And so although we do, and I don't personally, but our counselors, our interns, they deal with the heavy stuff of helping the women work through what they've been through. But we're on the other side, and that's hopeful, and that's exciting, watching people transform, watching them come in one way and leave a completely different way. That's empowering to me. That's exciting. And it gives me life. Like, it really is revitalizing and invigorating. So, yeah, it really is.
So what do? You said you do massages and stuff. Do you take trips? I see on your Instagram that you and your husband go places.
Yes, I travel, and I encourage that as a work culture. We are serious about making sure that we're okay. Because if we're not okay, we can't be okay for them. So, like, mental health days, take a couple of days and go on a trip. Spend time with your significant other. Spend time by yourself. I think those things are so important. I'm very into personal development. I'm a member of a personal development group that I've been with over a year. Okay. And those kinds of things are very important to me. We are all called to something. And if we're not whole in that, we're not effective. We can't walk out our purpose properly. And so, yes, I'm going to travel. Right. Yeah. I'm going to travel. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to have a glass of wine every now and then. I'm going to do the things that I need to do. Shop. I do shop some. I'm an Amazon girl now. The pandemic did that to me.
Yesterday and today are two great days for Amazon Prime members.
Don't remind me.
Okay. So some great deals.
I was trying to block the temptation.
They had something called Lightning. So I saw a laptop that was like $1,000 and it was $350.
Yes.
And then I guess I didn't understand what lightning meant. So by the time I went back, it was back to the regular price. So when you saw that low price, you had to take
Just
it. Hit it. Right. And I was like, oh, do I really? And then I went back, it was like, okay, it's $1,000.
It strikes once.
That's lightning, George. That's what lightning means. But so that's what keeps you, and your husband seems like he's like your back.
So supportive. He has always been my biggest cheerleader. He sees things in me that I don't often see and draws them out and pushes me. And just, it's amazing to be married to someone who's your friend. And we've been like that from the beginning. We have each other's back no matter what. We've been through some tough times. We lost a child in 2009, his oldest son. And we have just grown closer together. We are people of faith. That's important. That's another thing that replenishes me. I pray. I talk to God every day. I get my marching orders. So, just really trying to live a full, balanced life. And I'm wired to give, and I'm wired for gratitude. And that just really keeps me on a level. It just keeps me really stable.
How do you decide, what is your decision-making process when you have to make big decisions? Like you were talking about things that you're changing at work and stuff like that. What is your process?
I try to make decisions as soon as possible, but not rashly. I try to think about all possible scenarios. I pull people in that I trust. I feel like I lead experts. And so I pull people in that I trust. I pray. I wait. And when I'm comfortable, I make the decision. I don't rush decisions. Certain decisions need quick answers. But I feel like if you're constantly learning, if you're constantly pouring into yourself, if you constantly have a pulse on the mission, then when it's time to make a decision, it's easy. Does it align with the mission or does it not? Will it help people or will it not? Will it put you in a position to advance or will it not? I think if you're constantly aware of where you're going, who you're supposed to serve, how you're supposed to serve them, then those decisions become easier to make.
Yeah. Do you think networking is important?
Networking is absolutely important. That's how I met you.
So we met doing I think it was Great Day Washington or something, and you were in your business, and we just struck up a conversation. And then you talked to our students and the Mary Berry Summer Youth Program. And then we kept in contact, and I think I did something with your organization, and we were, I think, a prize or something, services.
Yes.
So the woman who won the prize, I'm still in contact with.
Oh, great.
And that she has networked me to her network.
Wow.
And we're actually going to do something.
Awesome.
So, you know.
I love that.
Isn't that? I mean,
I love hearing those stories because, you know, you just have to make yourself available and be present and take opportunities as they come, really.
And everything is not about the dollar.
That's right.
And that the blessing for all of us, I think, doesn't necessarily, well, one, we all know where it comes from originally.
Absolutely.
But the blessing doesn't always, if you've done something for me or I've done something for you, doesn't mean that it comes from either one of us. It may come from somebody else that we've networked with.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, so that's the, you know, when you're looking at that, there was no money exchanged, there was no favors.
Right.
It was just, you know, hey, I know this person. Hey, I met that person. But also, too, it's important, too, that when that door is open, that you're ready to walk through.
That's it. That's it. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah, right.
My grandfather came to the district in the 50s from Pennsylvania and Virginia. And he had a third grade education. He built a business here doing landscaping in Northwest Washington, D.C. And he was so brilliant, one of the most brilliant men I've ever known. And there were two things that he always said: don't burn bridges, and relationships are everything. And that has stuck with me. So networking is wired into me because of him. You know, you never know who will help you to get across the bridge. Don't burn that bridge when you get across. No matter how people treat you, you keep your integrity intact. You keep being the person that you've always been. And that's awesome to me.
And opening to learning, and you know this, like, there's nothing that's written in stone for me except for some of the things that I was raised with. Respect, integrity, those kinds of things. But I'm always open to learn. And as I get older, I want to learn more. And, you know, so... You know, we could just chat all day about everything. I want you to come back. But leave something with our listeners, and maybe there's a woman or, you know, even a man. But so if you get men that say, is there somewhere that you can refer them? Or
unfortunately, there is not a lot of resource for men. We have just started opening up our public counseling, our community counseling to men. Eventually, I want a house for men, too. There are only 3 in the country. But there aren't a lot of resources for men, and that hurts because they need it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the gay community. I saw domestic violence, not just there as well, but in men are battered as well.
Absolutely.
I did see a lot of it in the community. And, everybody needs some place to go.
Everybody needs it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's on the radar for us. We definitely want to serve men. And we want to serve abusers, too. If we're going to eliminate domestic violence, we can't leave out the abuser. We have to.
Because maybe, I mean, as we talked about earlier, as that maybe... If you don't know, you don't know.
Absolutely.
But once you do know, then the responsibility and all of that comes with it.
Absolutely. When you know better, you have to do better.
Yeah. What would you like to leave with our listeners if someone is out there for help? what would you like to leave with them?
Find a safe person and say something. You don't have to say everything, but let someone know so they can support you in getting out. Make a plan. You can call somewhere like Bethany House or the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and they will help you to make a safety plan to get out. But don't stay. We have way too much evidence to show that if you stay, you will die. That's just the reality of it. And so we don't want anybody to lose their life because of what they perceive as love. So take the steps to get out. There are organizations that can help you and support you.
Because if somebody's willing to kill someone, they're not thinking about after.
That's right.
They're thinking about now.
That's right.
So.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Tiffany Santana, for coming on Bethany House. And that's how we can, is that on the web? Is it?
Yes, Bethany House of Northern Virginia.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for tuning in to Inside Style. I am George Worrell, and remember, real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. We'll see you next time.
In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.com.